IGN Live, and thank you very much for coming for a panel that I'm very, very excited about because I love all things spooky. So please give a round of applause to welcome Jacob Chase, who is the director and co-writer of the new movie Insidious Out of the Further. We've got Louise Blain, who is the creative director of Blumhouse Games, and Emmett Nahil, the narrative director on Grave Seasons. So you probably recognize the name Blumhouse. Blumhouse Atomic Monster is the company behind Obsession and Backrooms, which if you haven't seen, absolutely see them because they're amazing. Yeah, absolutely, I love them. Blumhouse Games is responsible for Sleep, Awake, and Fear the Spotlight, which are also two amazing horror games that you should definitely check out. So we're going to be talking about horror and subgenres and how it plays with that. So we're going to start with you, Emmett, because Grave Seasons I'm very excited about. So can you talk about how that's going to blend horror and cozy gaming?
Yeah, so Grave Seasons is our murder mystery farming simulator. And we really hope to blend those two elements by encouraging you to manage your farm, but also manage your attention and manage your fear. And so as you encounter these horrors beyond your imagining, we want you to understand how to deal with them and how to maybe protect or not protect the townsfolk who are under attack by the supernatural serial killer that's roaming Ashen Ridge.
Farming and serial killers, that sounds amazing. Louise, what was it about Grave Seasons that made it a Blumhouse game?
I think what we think about Blumhouse Games is we think about really interesting explorations of horror. And I think that you can't get more interesting than a really unique combination. And I think what was immediately apparent with Grave Seasons, which is Perfect Garbage, Emmett and the team understand a farming game. And we love farming games, and we understand how farming games make us feel. But they also understand horror. So what they do is they know that you love farming, and they know that you love horror, and they basically exploit your love of both of those things to make you feel, oh, I'm going to just do this today. I'm going to plant today. I'm going to dig today. What am I going to find in the ground? And I think that's what's really exciting, is that you get the best of both worlds when you play Grave Seasons.
Gives you everything you need. Jacob, the Insidious franchise is one that's always played with kind of different elements of horror. What was it that kind of attracted you to working with that franchise as a director and co-writer?
Yeah, well, I've just been the biggest fan of Insidious since they started. So getting the opportunity at all to be part of this franchise is seriously a dream come true. I wanted to make something that drew on what inspired me about the first few movies in the franchise. It has this amazing family at the center of it. There's so much sort of warmth in the family, and then when you throw in the horror elements, you're sort of caring about the characters in a big way when they go through, their terror situations. And so I love the opportunity to sort of carry on the legacy, but also tell a new family story within the world, and also expand the lore quite a bit, because we've started to get to know there's more that's possible in the Further, and what can possibly come out of the Further in this movie.
That's what I always loved about the Insidious movies, the kind of family warmth at the middle and then all the horror happening around them. It always made a really nice contrast. One thing that movies are great about, and I'm excited to hear about with Grave Seasons, is pacing, whether it be a jump scare or just building some existential dread. So how do you do that in a game like Grave Seasons where the player's in control?
Yeah, in Grave Seasons, we basically tell you at the outset of the game that a murder will happen in each month of the year, and that you only have a year on your farm to investigate and to learn more about the supernatural killer who's at play in town. And so as you learn more and more, you do have the month to pace yourself, to find different clues, to find different elements in the world and things that you can bring to bear on the protective methods that you're crafting as the resident farmer in Ashen Ridge. And as that year ends, you are asked to potentially start again with maybe a different killer active at the beginning of that year.
And Jacob, obviously it's different in movies where the kind of the whole world is being built by you and all the tension. So what are some of your favorite ways that you've either seen in movies or you're planning to use in the new Insidious movie to kind of build that tension and pace it, the jump scares right?
Yeah, I mean, making horror movies is the best job in the world because you get to like really take an audience on a journey, and every sequence can sort of have its own pace to a degree. You know, we have our, you know, sort of classic, really slow burn horror set pieces that the first, you know, 2 movies are so good at. And then we also have some of the sort of breakneck pace, you know, that I love in a horror movie that like really takes you by the throat and doesn't let go until the end of the film. And so, you know, in a 2-hour film, you can really take an audience on a full gamut of experiences. And so it's really fun to get to, you know, we do things from, we hopefully make you really scared of the dentist if you aren't already. We've got, you know, a sequence early on in the film where our main character's little daughter is building a pillow fort, but our main character ends up in the pillow fort and it becomes this liminal maze that goes on forever, which is something I had never seen in a horror movie before. And there's lots of moments like that that I'm trying to exploit the things that I'm afraid of, that hopefully other people are afraid of. And yeah, from a pacing perspective, you get to like go from the slow and building up the tension and then really ratcheting it up in a big way by the end.
Oh, well, the dental thing is, it's a good thing that Louise Blain doesn't have a fear of teeth.
Not at all.
Jacob, do you have a favorite moment that you remember jump scare-wise from any movies that you've seen, whether when you were a kid or more recently?
I mean, there's countless amazing jump scares. I mean, of course, the classic, probably best jump scare of all time is from the first Insidious movie when the red-faced demon pops up behind Patrick Wilson. Hard to top that in the Insidious franchise, but I'm trying.
No, we love that. Yeah, we're very excited.
Good. I'm glad. I hope I don't let you guys down. The Fly, that first time, I'm talking about the sort of original one before. I love the Cronenberg one, but before that, there's the one where you take off like the mask off of the fly and you see that big fly head for the first time. I saw that movie way too young and it traumatized me. Weird little things that pop up to me, like in the movie Con Air. I know this is weird, but like when Cyrus the Virus gets his head smashed at the end of that stuck with me as a kid. And then just classics like Poltergeist has a couple really big ones, like in The Mirror, and The Ring has all-time, you know, the shot in the closet at the beginning, or her coming out of the TV. Spoiler alert for those who don't know The Ring. But there's so many classics that I try to draw on, but also I love studying the classics, so I try my best to like not repeat any of them. You know, I learn what worked with those, and anytime on set that there was a scare we were trying to do that felt like, I feel like I've seen this before, I said, let's stop shooting and do something else.
Emmett, do you have a favorite one that traumatized you?
Ooh, I have ones that have not traumatized, but ones that I just like enjoy seeing again. I think the one that I come back to is in the original Hellraiser, when Uncle Frank comes up behind Chrissy in the staircase and grabs her. That's truly a jump scare that I love and a movie that I love. But also the original Conjuring, the clapping scene is such a classic.
So good.
Yeah, I never, for some reason, you know it's coming. If you've seen that movie, you know where it is, but it always gets me for some reason, which I think is the sign of a truly good jump scare.
Louise?
So I think a lot about that scene in It Follows, where the door opens and the tall man comes in. And I think about it, and it still gives me like full body chills. But the other one is the one in The Descent, when the women have fallen down into the pit and they've got the camera and they're looking around and they're panicking, and then they see the creature behind, and that to me almost can't be topped. It's amazing. But like now, talking about all of these, it makes me want to just go and watch them all again, because it's the best jump scares, the one you want, I don't want to do it again, and the really good ones still get you, so it's the best.
Yeah. One of the things that really appealed to me about Grave Seasons was the style and the look. Now, and I have to bring up, your characters are all smoking hot. was that a deliberate decision?
Yeah. It definitely was. We have a team of really incredible and incredibly overpowered artists. And so there was not like a directive to make everyone hot, but it did kind of just shake out that way. And we're like, yeah, they should be hot because you can date a variety of them. Not all of them, but you can date a variety of characters, including the killer who's active at the time. And so having them be hot, I think is, it's thematically load-bearing.
It's what you exploit as well. I mean, you were talking about exploiting fears. The team exploit the attachment that you get to those really hot characters. So when you know that one of them is going to be picked off, that's not something that happens in farming games. That where they work is going to be empty. What they do is going to, like, they'll be gone from your dailies. And so it's taking advantage of that and the way you feel about those characters and then making that go away.
That's amazing. And, you know, yeah, dating a serial killer, very dark romance. I enjoy those novels. I think it's going to work. Without spoilers, what are some of the other things you're really excited about people seeing in Grave Seasons?
I think the thing that I'm most excited for horror fans specifically to see is all of the different kills. We don't let you escape from what you've done or haven't done in Grave Seasons, and that means we bring you to the site of these murders that occur. And so I'm really excited to see, I'm really excited for players to see all the love and care that we put into the animation, the music, the ambiance, and to investigate all that comes after.
And also, we've also been talking about, you know, Jacob, you mentioned a bit kind of different horror tropes and things that you've seen before and not wanting to repeat them. I'd love to hear from you all, starting with you, what you personally think of as a kind of horror trope or trick that you'd like to see have a rest. Maybe you don't hate it, but just, you know, let's give it some time off.
Well, I think everyone has their own taste, so I don't want to speak for everybody because it's, you know, it's all personal what you feel like you've seen too much of. But I will say that, you know, I love a confident horror film. You know, I think Obsession and Backrooms recently were great examples of this, where they trusted their audience and they didn't pander to the audience. And, you know, I am constantly doing my best to do the same thing in the editorial of my film. And if a scare doesn't need a jump scare sting on it, all the better. You know, I think for me the most confident jump scares are ones that don't sort of hammer the audience over the head, but it ends up like the clap that you're talking about, one of the best all-time scares. There's no big sting on that, right? It's just the clap. And I think it's because it works so well on its own. Same with in that same movie, you tilt up and you see the witch on the wardrobe up there, they don't sting that right away, you know. And I think there's a confidence that I love that is what I'm trying to bring, you know, to this movie. But in terms of things that I don't want to see anymore, I don't know. There's something for everybody, you know. I really love this new, you know, this new thing that's been happening between Weapons and the other Zach Krager movies and Obsession recently and Backrooms, where there's you don't feel stuck in the form as much. We can branch out in our narrative. We can, audiences love to be surprised, I think. You know, if an audience ever feels like they know what's coming next, I think you've lost them. And so I think just trying to keep audiences on their toes, both through the horror and just the storytelling and the emotion of it all.
I think jumping off from that, thinking about Obsession, the one thing that I especially loved there is, without any spoilers, Curry never cuts. He keeps you there. And I think sometimes you'll get a jump scare and then you'll get a cut and your brain will be like, oh, I'm safe. But Curry doesn't cut. He holds, and you're like, I have never been more wanting it to cut away from this and also wanting to stay in this moment. And I think horror lives in this discomfort. So I think the boldness of that, of making people sit in that space and making you watch and making you feel uncomfortable, that's what I now want to see more of. But it takes it takes so much talent to be able to hold you and keep you in that discomfort for so long. So I want to see more of me feeling held in the worst possible way.
I think that leaping off of that too, the thing that I'm already seeing less of in horror, but I'm glad that this trend is going away, is that horror movies that kind of feel, or horror media generally that feels kind of embarrassed to be a horror movie, or that gets talked about as oh well, it transcends horror, gross. Not my favorite, but I do think that that's changing in a really beautiful way, and I'm just excited to see more full-throated enjoyment and embodiment of the genre and taking the genre as seriously as it deserves to be taken.
And we've heard a lot about some of the more recent horror films, which I agree with all of those, by the way. They're all amazing weapons. Obsession, genuinely, I'm still upset about. So good. But what are some kind of either hidden horror gem movies, games that maybe you've played that you'd like to recommend to people? Maybe not obvious ones, or things from a little bit further back. Emmett?
I know that this is, I have a couple, and they're both, I think, relatively well known, but one of which is a bit of a mystery with a horror tinge, which is Seance of Blake Manor. It's a wonderful puzzle game, but it has some really kind of horror undertones, and it has sort of a through line of horror in it that I think people could really appreciate if they are fans of horror, but also truly just play mouthwashing if you haven't played it already and you are a fan of narrative-driven, indie horror games. Those are my two big recommendations.
Louise?
I think if I think of games that have really scared me recently, like I've been enjoying playing anomaly horrors, but if anyone's played the Cabin Factory, so in the Cabin Factory, you work in a cabin factory and you just need to check that the haunted house cabins that are there are haunted or not. So it comes along the conveyor belt and you walk inside and you check if it's haunted. And it's basically haunted house spot the difference, and it's horrifying, like genuinely wonderfully takes advantage of that sort of found footage scare of, oh, was that meant to be there, was that not? And it's kind of along the same sort of lines as Exit 8, but the Cabin Factory for me is really good and unpredictable.
And Jacob, movie or game? Anything you wanted to sort of give a shout out to?
I mean, I feel like hopefully people have seen a lot of these, but I mean, like The Wailing is incredible. If you haven't seen much horror, foreign horror films, I mean, it's just an incredible exercise in restraint and suspense for the entire runtime. This was just last year, but like it went kind of unnoticed. But No Other Choice is absolutely remarkable and has a lot of horror elements, and it should have gotten more people watching it here, I think. So go watch No Other Choice.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think we're running out of time now, so I just wanted to say that thank you very much for joining us. I'm very, very excited about both Grave Seasons and in the new Insidious movie. I will be there day one. You can wishlist Grave Seasons on Steam now, and Insidious Out of the Further will be in theatres on August 21st. So thank you very much. Please give a huge round of applause for our panelists.